Order. We're here to, we're on record, I assume. Okay. We're here to discuss proposed budget for next year. And Angela has received some new totals as far as evaluations and stuff that we need to start with.
The appraisal district certified their values this week, and Mr. Stevens brought them to our office yesterday, and according to comparing the budget workshop on June the 30th to up to date, the estimated net taxable value, there was a difference of an increase of $29,363,364. But the minerals decreased by $47,887,930 for a net decrease in our taxable value from June the 30th of $18,524,566. The protest values that is still coming up for hearings next week is $31,871,270. If we collected 50% of that, it would generate $89,239.56.
Give me that figure again.
$89,239.56. And he said he would let us know after the hearings on Tuesdays and Thursdays of next week. We just calculated the same format that we did on our June the 30th budget workshop. We have our current tax rate, and with the 3% increase, a 2% increase, and a no salary increase. With the 3% increase based on our new calculated taxable values, there's a deficit of $745,760.31 after budget cuts have been made from some various departments. A 2% increase, the deficit is $641,915.03, and with no salary increases, the deficit is $418,999.66.
Okay, and we had sat down with Sharon and Angela. We've all worked together this week on that contingency, trying to figure out basically what the contingency would be. And I think we probably resolved it somewhere around $2.5 million.
That we have a contingency at the end of this budget year.
Yeah.
On the second page, it's listed. The contingency that we started with October 1.
Yeah,
and then
okay.
the budget amendment we made.
So $2,561,000.
Yes, sir.
And what is the minimum carryover we need to bridge October, November, December?
Somewhere between $2 and $3 million probably.
I think we've been figuring 2.5, haven't we?
Somewhere's in there. We're not using that much because some taxes start in before January.
But in case
January
they
1st.
don't, in case they don't, that's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah,
And
In
not-
case they don't, it takes over $1 million a month to operate.
yeah.
And
What they
then-
usually do, as soon as the tax payments go out, it usually starts coming in, because Shirley brings it right on.
Yeah.
And then in an ideal situation, if you had a hurricane in September, what would it take cash money to get started?
No telling.
Million? I mean, so-
The problem you got is that we got the contracts in place. Okay, the people that we have these big contracts with don't get their money until we get paid by FEMA. But you got to deal with local people that they gotta meet their weekly payrolls and stuff. So, and they're the people that get you out of the immediate bind. So you gotta make that, and I would think you're talking about probably $1.5 million, $2 million right there. But it depends on the size of the hurricane and everything else.
So at a minimum, we need probably about $3.5 million contingency.
Well, you certainly would want that, but I don't think we're in that position to have
Yeah,
at
that's-
this time.
You're not fixing to get that. Well, I think the first thing we need to do is Commissioner Court budget cuts are $350,000 rather than $300,000. So we need to adjust that. And then I would be surprised if we did not collect at least 50% out of the protest. They're not gonna lose it all. So that's round off at 89,000. So you can take that 89, you got 369, you take 89 off of that. So that's $280,000 shortage, not including any salary increases.
Where were you at the 369, Ken?
When you go to the last page, and it takes out the estimated deficit, then it takes out Commissioner Court. Well, actually, that's not Commissioner Court
Road and
budget
bridge.
cuts, that's road and bridge cuts.
Right.
Need to change that to road and bridge to 350,000.
So is that without any increase in salaries?
Yeah, that's no increase in salaries.
Okay.
Then you come down, that's 368 or 69, just rounding off. And then if we collect 89, which I'd certainly anticipate we would, 89,000 now, the minerals that are being protested, then that drops us down to $280,000 deficit. That's leaving the contingency fund at 250,000, 2,500,000 like it is now, or 74,000.
It would have to take out a contingency to bridge that 280, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd go from 2.5 to,
2 million.
yeah.
You can't do that.
And if you did, what you're gonna do, next year you're gonna start off with a 250,000 or more deficit that you gotta replace, because you won't be able to continue on, for sure.
Looks like road and bridge, better just buy a bunch of dominoes and start playing dominoes.
So we're working off, right now, we're working off no salary increase at 280, correct? Mr.
Correct.
Pelt?
Yeah, 280,000.
And I have, proposed as well to, the recommendation on my cut was, 75,000. I have proposed to double that, so you can add 75, take 75 away from that 280.
Okay, so that's 205.
That 75 was not in the,
No,
the 350?
no,
Okay.
So,
it's 205,000. Well, I would point out to the court that road and bridge 2 years ago took 350,000. So road and bridge over a 3-year period is now taking $700,000 worth of cuts. And I'm willing to take some more cuts, but some of the department's gonna have to come up too.
Yeah.
That's my feelings, you know, I mean, there's no magic to this thing. If we're gonna give an employee a raise, which I think we need to, I think if you don't, they start slipping, and Rose is not here, but, here several years ago, had her to make a comparison, and the Hardin County employees are quite a bit behind Jefferson County employees, and they're behind Orange County employees, and all of these operate and shop in the same area, purchase housing, everything, same area. So I think we'd make a mistake if we did not look for cuts, and we just said we're gonna pass on an employee raise.
I agree.
It's a good start, but we gotta get there.
One question, just, I guess just for my personal benefit. The second page, the last column, the 13,500 for the assistant district attorney salary budget amendment. I know we approved him to seek a grant. Is this just automatically added into there, or is this something we'll have to vote on, Judge? We give him permission to seek a grant. Is this what this is, the grant? Okay, okay. I thought it was, I'm sorry.
Well, that was wasn't we matching, isn't it some type of match
It was a
grant?
matching grant,
And
correct.
this made up the difference of that match?
Oh, I don't know, that's what I was
That's
asking.
kinda what I'm thinking, and I can't,
I think that's the match for the grant.
This is, in my understanding, this was when, the assistant district attorney resigned, and they hired a new assistant district attorney, and they
I make
wanted
up the
to
difference in
increase.
salary, yeah, that's what it
At
is,
So they could be
full-time.
full-time.
And that was voted on last year.
yeah.
It was voted on after the budget was adopted, that's why it's in here.
Okay, and that's in the budget now
Right.
already.
That is, yes.
Okay.
But it did affect your
Yeah.
contingency fund at the time we
Mhm.
voted on it.
I guess the problem now is us agreeing on where we're gonna make these cuts at. I would
Which-
like to say,
You talking about in the road and bridge?
no,
Oh.
to get this number on
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
I would like to say I appreciate the judge and Angela and all those that have worked to get this together. I know they worked hard on it. What is the total you have over there, Mr. Pelt, that we have deducted so far? I know you got a
we've
bottom number, but
yeah,
how
we-
much have we deducted?
We deducted 50,000 because the Commissioner Court, the road and bridge figure was inaccurate. And then we estimated that the minerals, Angela said we'd collect 89,000 more there on half the minerals, and I think we'll get half.
And then my
Then you're 75. And I would feel comfortable with taking 75 more, rounded off, out of the contingency to make it $2.5 million. That's just my thought. So now you're down to 130,000 with no raise.
Yeah, but if you go back and go to, say, minimum 2%, you got 130, but at 2%, that's gonna add, what, 200,000? 193,000?
Yeah.
So at 200,000, you're at 330,000 with a 2% raise.
Judge, did Alex say what caused that big mineral loss?
Not to me, did he say anything to you? No. He just told me there was, in one session, they lost 62 million, so evidently they come back on some of it and gain some.
That's a tremendous amount of loss. I can't imagine that much normal depletion. I guess it could be. They must have had something highly inaccurate in those mineral figures.
Well, and there's been a couple wells go in on North Silsbee too, so.
But that would be in next year's probably.
Okay.
And then,
And with
did he
the-
furnish us any type of backup, like on the Keystone Pipeline, how much they picked up this year?
I saw some figures early in the deal that it was like 30 million or something like that. And then the latest thing on the rolling stock, that's 10 million, right, Shirley? Did we?
And that was not calculated.
That we picked up,
Okay, so we had,
From the rolling stock.
and it's in here?
No, it is
No,
not,
it's
it's
not.
not in my calculation.
It's
Okay.
in my calculations.
How much? 15?
it's 10
10.
million.
So you
So
would add
now
that
we're down to 120.
So you would add that to the base? Is that the way the rolling stock works? Add it to the base and then, is that the way that it's?
Is it in the base?
It's not in this.
Okay. We're talking about peanuts, but, I wish Alex would have furnished us with something because this Keystone Pipeline will fill up next year as to how much they anticipate to get off of it.
Mr. Bill, he was telling me yesterday that, Batson's, the emergency service district, they increased in value of 14 million. And he said that was from that Keystone, and that should have shown up in the counties.
Well, not only Batson should have shown up, but also,
It should have shown up in the counties.
it should have shown up in the Hardin Jefferson School District on the Hardin
On
County
West
side.
Hardin.
On
And
what?
it should have- West Hardin. West
Well,
Hardin.
it comes through the Hardin Jefferson District too. It doesn't?
Not this, he said it was, over in Batson, in the Batson area is what he was telling me.
Well, it crosses Grayburg. I don't see how it misses the Hardin Jefferson District.
Right. It's gotta be in Hardin.
It's gotta be in Hardin Jefferson District,
It may be.
yeah. And then the other pipeline, I don't know how much it added. But,
Well, do we wanna call him and get him over here?
Now, he checks.
Good, maybe he can answer some of these questions, because unless something like there at Sour Lake and Flint Hills or some of their storage in those salt domes, I don't see how you could have that much depletion take place on normal depletion.
I don't know this year, but last year I think they had some wells that were right there on the line or something. They got some one over on our side and they had to take it back out or something. But
Well, that's possibly some of those Sampson wells. They're drilled in Hardin County, but they're bottom holed in Jefferson County. And they may have picked up the minerals in Hardin County, when actually the minerals are in Jefferson County.
Well, if it's any consolation, Jefferson County with everything they got going, right now they're $5 million short in their budget.
I have no sympathy for Jefferson County. What is Jefferson County's tax rate? 36? 36 cents, and they've already got $19 billion worth of construction announced. So I heard Judge Brannick on the radio, but I couldn't shed any tears.
They have 34,000 people living outside the city limits. We have 33,000 that live outside the city limits. Their sheriff's office budget is $20 million.
Mhm. But you know what their road and bridge budget is? You know what their road and bridge budget is? I don't know, but I know a few years ago that when Commissioner, the one that served so long,
Yep. Coconuts.
he was crying to me one day about how much they'd cut out of his budget. And I asked him how much it was, and he told me, and what they had cut out of his budget was about equal to my budget. And they're well funded over there.
I think the problem lies in purchasing.
Did Alec give us a breakdown of new construction, like all the homes built and all that stuff there?
He just gave me a value of all, didn't give me a breakdown as such. New construction, new improvements, it's 58,990,370.
58 million new construction.
Yes, sir.
While we're waiting on Alex, would you give us an effective tax rate in there?
Okay, I'm waiting on him on the TIF, you know, this new TIF that we have this year. I'm waiting for some values from him on that, which probably would help the tax rate a little bit. But, I'm showing at this time that the effective tax rate is 55 cents.
Okay.
It's .550636. And the rollback is, back here, is .594284.
Shirley, with it, if we stay at 56, we're gonna have to have the 2 hearings,
Yes, sir.
tax hearings and the budget hearings.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And those have to be published before September the 1st.
the
We
date,
don't have to have the meetings before September.
right, but
We have to, it's something.
The rate has to be set then, or the proposed rate?
The
proposed.
proposed rate.
Okay.
And then that has to be published before September the 1st.
And all these figures that we're talking about today have been figured on 5/6, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes, current tax rate. Shirley, do you have a estimate of how much tax dollars that we have lost when the legislature changed the oil and gas formula?
No, sir, I do not.
Yeah, the best I can come up with is we've lost something like $2 million.
And I'm certain that when Alex gets here, he
Yeah.
can tell you that.
And I think it's critical that the public understand that the reason our contingency fund is where it is and not at $4.5 or $5 million now is because of what the legislature did to us. and we're heavily dependent, I mean, we're not, it's not the majority, but oil and gas values are a great part of our income and have been. And they changed the formula to inopportune time when we had all these big wells that a result of that 3D seismic. And of course, that horse went out of the barn before they got it changed back, and those are gone forever. And they're not out there anymore.
I'm hoping those figures that he brings me for that, TIF is gonna help a little bit. To where maybe we won't have to hold those public hearings.
Okay, Esther, there's about those contracts, those outside consultants. Would you address that for me?
Yeah, I brought a copy of it. I just, on my, stormwater permits, I just got these yesterday in email. And the highlighted figure is the figure that they're going to bill me for this year. Let's see, that one's on here, I'm not sure. And this is for Carolyn Blackman, to do all the paperwork, and if you look at the very top, they have, you got one, okay. They have the counties on there and the cities that are all in that, and they just take the figure and divide it by those counties and cities.
Now, this is that stormwater deal down in the Lumberton area?
It's stormwater for everything that's where the smaller part of mine is, Wheeler Road area.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna be paying the $11,276.67 this next year, so I need to keep that in my budget to have that money.
But it's my understanding when we engaged them and that we didn't have any choice in this program, is that right?
We do not.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It all has to be done. Where I'm hoping in my budget that we're gonna see some improvements is when we, meet on the subdivision committee Monday to set, something in place to where the developers pick up the majority of the cost from, the engineers. And so that will save me, I'm thinking we're probably gonna save easily $10,000 in my budget if we can put that cost off on the engineers.
Esther, when you say there's no choice in this, define that for me. Is this mandated by state law?
Yes, sir. The stormwater, Carolyn Blackman do all the paperwork, and it's probably 3 inches of paperwork a year that has to be done and turned into the government. And then we have, permits that have to be purchased, and they go out and do, all the stormwater runoff, and do testing and sampling, and, make sure that everything is the way that TCEQ wants it all to be, within the limits that it's supposed to be in.
Now, is this our only option?
Yes, sir, pretty much, it's a coalition, if you look on there, all the other cities are in that, if we went by ourselves, it would probably be a lot more expensive, we're sharing the cost with all the other areas.
Thank you.
We want to welcome Alex to the fire pit, and he already knows about that. Well, first of all, let me say, we appreciate you. And we know, you and I have talked, and I know what you're going through, Lance, so. But, court has some things that maybe that you can address that would help us on our decision making. Ken, you want to?
Yeah, I'm starting. Alex, on the Keystone Pipeline and the other pipelines, are both of those on the tax rolls now at full values, or are we still waiting like on Keystone to?
It's not full value.
Okay. So how much, do we have any estimate, or does whoever does the,
That, I really need to talk to our mineral contractor but I can get that for you.
yeah. It'd be helpful to know what we can anticipate next year.
It
That
wasn't
would-
full value this year.
And then, of course, it's my understanding, I think the lady talked to you also, Judge, they're gonna be laying, Keystone is another pipeline across there.
She wouldn't commit to it, but it's very evident that,
Yeah.
they were running it,
From Mount Bellevue.
yeah,
to-
they were running about 600,000 barrels a day now, is what I understood. And that capacity is 900,000.
Mhm.
So, and you and I had talked, it seemed like at one time we had talked about this year, it's like 33 million value, would that that
I
sounds,
think that sounds about right, but I could get those numbers, and if y'all could, write down those capacities, I could get them to probably give me an estimate for future years. So-
okay, and the capacity though I'm hearing is just,
Now, I think the one that, the one this lady talked to us about, Judge, it's coming from Mount Bellevue to Sour Lake, so I assume that it's coming to storage there in one of these,
okay, now maybe that's a
salt cavern. No, this is totally different. It's
Yeah.
totally different from the Keystone that's coming out of Oklahoma.
Right,
And, they're getting, according to her, it's a pretty done deal. They should start purchasing right away. And now where they get it constructed, where it would come in or not for next year. But on the oil and gas minerals that we lost, is that all from depletion, or is there something that happened at Sour Lake and like Flint Hills and one of those
Well,
storage wells?
And you understand that on when we talk about minerals, it's the industrial property too. And I do know that right off the bat, because Hardin Jefferson, for instance, they're on a different fiscal year than the other school districts, so I'll have to give them preliminary estimates earlier, about April 1. Shortly after I gave them a preliminary estimate where they were going to beat up, our mineral contractor called me probably 10 days later and said, look, I know you gave those estimates to Hardin Jefferson, but, that's before anybody has rendered for 2014 for the current year. He said, they just rendered, we just got their rendition, and they have moved a $49 million inventory from Hardin Jefferson to Chambers County for 2014.
Now, this is Flint Hills?
No, this was from Motiva, it was an inventory.
Okay, Motiva. Had,
And they moved, right off the bat, we lost $50 million, and of course, that's the county lost too, because of her.
that was stored oil.
That was stored.
Yeah, they're moving it to a cavern in
Chambers.
Chambers, well, Mount Bellevue.
County.
Yeah. And I think the reason that they're doing that is because they do not have the pipe, and that's what I think this line that's coming from Mount Bellevue to Sour Lake will possibly reverse that situation.
So that would be.
Yeah, will possibly reverse that.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, that's what the situation is there. I knew it had to be one of these big caverns, because you can't take a few existing oil wells, or even one of these pretty big size gas wells that have come on, which they've all pretty well depleted now. We haven't had any drilling. It has to be storage, and that's what it is. Yeah, they're moving to the Mount Bellevue where they can get to it,
Oh, okay.
because at Sour Lake, they store it there, but when they need it, they don't have the pipeline capacity to get it over that quickly. So they will bring a lot of that back as soon as they can. But that will be, whenever they get this 36, and it's a 36-inch line coming, so they're planning on high capacity.
If we had the full capacity, and I think they gave me numbers before, future when it's at full capacity, but I'd have to look at it again. So, there's the Keystone, and there's, the Trans-Canada is different, isn't it?
Same thing,
Same thing.
same thing. Well, of course, in order to get to full capacity, they're bringing about all the oil they can get to Oklahoma now. You've got the stretch from Oklahoma through Nebraska, up in that area to Canada. And in order to get to full capacity, the president has to approve the Trans-Canada line. And, when and if he'll do it is a question.
how much duplication do we have now of what's coming into Oklahoma, from up north of there, but not into Canada? Do we have any idea what that is?
No, all I know from what I've been told is that the oil is coming from Cushing, Oklahoma to Port Arthur via the Keystone Pipeline right now, is all the surplus oil or all the available oil they have to send to Port Arthur. Well, they send it to Port Arthur, and they also, this line parts over there around Moss Hill somewheres and goes to Houston also. They can go either way with the oil. Somebody comes to Port Arthur, somebody goes to Houston. And, but if they could get the additional oil out of Canada that's available, then they could bring this line to full capacity, and they would bring this line to full capacity. But, you know, that's, who knows about that?
You don't know how far off that would be.
No. But the line that they're planning to build from Mount Bellevue to Sour Lake is strictly a line to swap oil between these two caverns. And if they can bring that oil back to Sour Lake, then you pick that $47 million up again. If you have to leave it in Mount Bellevue, well, you know, Mount Bellevue needs it, I'm sure. They probably in a bind over there, but anyway.
Well, there's another unknown in this thing, and what, at one point, when Motiva had just finished their last big project, they were able to take on 600,000 barrels a day.
Yeah.
But if they increase that flow, is the capacity in the plants able to take that additional flow?
I don't think they are right now.
Well, but you've got 3 more plants announced, $19 billion worth already in between Beaumont and Port Arthur. You know, now where they'll take raw crude or what, I don't know what their feedstocks are, but I guess the point being is that since we've suffered this 47 million, there's not another 47 million to be taken off next year. Anything that happens next year would have to be a plus coming back this way.
I would hope so.
Well, there's no other place to get it from to take it away from us.
Right,
Yeah. You know, the only thing we're dealing with now is normal depletion.
right,
And, you know, I know we've got a couple of wells. I don't know what these wells up in Chris's area amount to. and-
Well, and Southampton's increasing their storage capacity too, so that'd be a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
They're working on a
Well,
project.
things should look better next year. We thought they looked better this year until
the preliminary.
Motiva moved that storage, yeah.
And that happened early on. And I think it would be good that, you know, if we're looking at the future, what that holds to, I'm sure I can get our mineral contractor down here at a meeting and could give you a lot more.
Who is doing our minerals now, Alex? Pritchett and Abbott
Pritchett and Abbott.
out of Dallas?
Well, they have a Dallas office. Their mineral department is actually in
Houston?
Houston.
Yeah.
So
Are they as good as Capital?
I think they're very comparable. They really are. I really don't have any complaints about pushing that. They're probably the 2 biggest contractors in the state as far as minerals and industrial properties.
It just seemed to me like Capital did not have the surprises,
Yeah.
that they were better at forecasting than, you know, this thing. But certainly Pritchett and Abbott is a well-known company. You know, they've been around a long time. It would help. And I'm certain this is part of their business. They do forecasting for industry all the time.
Sure.
And with the budget situations in government, we really need the same forecasting that they would supply us with on the oil, especially on the oil and gas side, and the storage, which is
Right.
in there. Who said it was gonna be easy?
I didn't say that for sure.
Well, here's the bottom line that I see. Right now, we're down to $120,000 deficit. If we go with a 3% raise, we've got a $399,000 deficit. If we go with a 2%, we've got a $313,000 deficit. So basically what the court is faced with is, do you give a raise? And if you do, how are you gonna cover it?
That's it.
No magic to it.
Well, you know, I know last year we anticipated better mineral values and we didn't get them. And, we can't keep on the same path we are. Now, how we get to the other path, I don't know. But we can't keep running proposed budget deficits.
See, the moving of that $47 million worth of inventory to Mount Bellevue cost us $263,000. And if it wasn't for that, we'd just take it out of Bobby's budget and the difference, and we'd be through.
That $263,000, just like the $11,000 Esther's asking for, something we can't help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing, when state mandates it, you do it, so.
Well, the path we're on, in a couple of years, we won't have a contingency fund.
Is this meeting just to find out where we stand, or do we need to start suggesting cuts? Judge?
Suggested,
Sir?
we needed
Yeah,
to
we,
find some
we,
more cuts.
I have about $65,000 worth that I went through here, and I know we're not gonna be in agreement on any of them. The sheriff's department sent out a email the other day in regards to the constable on the west side not serving his papers. He has a car allowance of $14,400. I suggest we cut his car allowance.
I second
you mean cut it totally out?
that.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a pretty drastic move.
Well, if it ain't working.
But he's a constable. You know, are all the other constables
We
working?
can't cut his position, but we can cut his car allowance, so if he.
Well, I could see you cutting, say, 600 or something like that out. But a constable has to have a car.
Has
I
to
mean-
work, has to work too.
Well, but constitutionally, the constable is not responsible for serving sheriff office papers. So I don't think you could just start saying we're gonna cut his car allowance completely out. Now, I'm all for adjusting it. We've
cut-
done that before.
Y'all cut Curtis Crowell's out,
Because Curtis, the JP said Curtis was not doing his job.
well. all
But
right,
the JP at Sour Lake says that the constable is serving him fine.
Okay, I did not have that information.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a constitutional
You have talked
office.
to the JP, and the JP
I
said
talked to
he-
JP and he said he was serving him fine.
I was
Yeah.
not privileged to have that information.
Yeah, he has no complaints.
Which is what, by law, he's supposed to do.
That's exactly right.
I did
This-
not have that information.
Yeah, this other deal is, no constable is constitutionally responsible for serving papers for the sheriff's office. This is something that took place during Hose Apple's time and, you know,
With, in your past experience on the court, because the constables do serve out of the sheriff's office, is that why we give them a car allowance, or?
no, that's why we gave them more car allowance. They get a car allowance equal to the two commissioners who have 234 miles of road, and I have 184 and 52% of the county. That's the reason that the constables all got the same, they get the same car allowance, each one of them, that Chris and I get.
So you would be opposed to the entire amount?
I'm totally opposed to the entire amount. I think that's totally unfair and is not consistent with what a constable's job is, what he's elected to do. We do not have any constable that by law has to serve sheriff department papers.
You wanna amend that?
I'm throwing suggestions out there.
I'd like to see us vote on it as you propose.
Okay.
Well, then let's do this. Every constable that holds a secondary job in the county, let's adjust their car allowance. Because if they're here 8 to 10 hours a day, they're not out there 8 to 10 hours a day.
I really hate to see us get into all this.
Well, but that's my point. It's the only reason I bring it up.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, it has to be judicial and fair across the board. And if you're gonna cut one, I think you gotta look at them all, especially those that
Now,
are holding two jobs.
I will agree that the one that's not doing it to take 400, maybe 600 out of his car allowance for serving the sheriff's papers. I'm not opposed to that, but I hate to see us get in a battle with the constables.
Well, and I don't wanna battle with the constables, but what I don't wanna do is tiptoe around other departments when other departments are shoestringing it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't wanna battle out here with these people, cause they don't have enough money to fix their roads either, but yet
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
now, where do we draw the line?
Well, I think we have to look at each situation,
That's right.
and we have to be as, in trying times, I know it's easy to start
And if a person listens to a
picking out
scanner,
villains,
if
but,
a person listens to a scanner, he can tell who's making calls, and who's working, who ain't working.
yeah.
Well, I'll jump to the next one I have then, see how we agree on it. Grand jury bailiff. is 14,000 a year. I would suggest, the sheriff handling that and doing away with the grand jury bailiff
How often do they meet? Once a month?
once a month. Plus.
I'm in agreement there.
You have the district judge change every 6 months,
For 6
and
months.
I think he might want the sheriff to do that anyway. I don't know that, but that's
Well,
14,000.
they only meet for what, one day?
One,
Typically.
normally, yes.
Yeah. When I served on, it, sometimes we met for half a day.
They might have to do a little bit of prep before that day, but it's not anything major.
Well, normally, yeah, I mean, if they coordinate their schedule, we've got one judge that's not here 1 week a month,
Right.
and he has a bailiff. So maybe that bailiff could serve the grand jury. Certainly, they've got options on when they schedule a grand jury.
I just thought that figure was high
Yeah, I think
for
it
us
is
to
too.
pay, for 1 day a month.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I certainly agree. I think we can cover that. We've already got 2 bailiffs.
Do they not have any other additional responsibilities other than that 1 day grand jury?
That's
bailiff?
it.
That's it,
That's it.
as far as I know.
We wanna just do away with all payment to it, or do we wanna set?
That's a suggestion I have. I don't know.
I would say do away with it and assign that duties to the 88th court bailiff.
I agree with
Or
that.
let the district judge decide if he wants to use the sheriff or his
Yeah,
own
yeah,
bailiff. or-
Yeah, whatever. Leave the flexibility up to them.
Everybody in agreement with that?
Bobby,
Yep.
Okay.
So that's how much?
that's 14,000, little over 14. I rounded it to 14.
Okay, well, that's what I'm gonna round it at.
Also, while we're talking about bailiffs, there is a line item in the 356 and the 88 for, extra bailiff for a total amount of 7,500. I'd suggest doing away with that.
Okay, and is that vacation deal or
Yes.
something that they got there? Well, then they could use a deputy during that time?
Or cover for each other.
Sub for each other.
It was a total of 7,500 on that.
Okay. I'm for it.
And the next one I have down here is one that, I know some commissioners are dead set against, but my suggestion would be to fund the additional clerk in JP5's office through the end of this year and then do away with that position.
Where is JP5?
That's, Judge Cummins, and I know Bobby's dead against that. I don't know how the other commissioners feel against it.
What's the position, JP?
It's an extra clerk in the JP's office in Lumberton. So that we don't have to lay anybody off or do away with any position if we fund it for 1 quarter, which is the first 3 months, and then when, the new judge takes over, not fill it. That's just a suggestion. I don't know how the other commissioners feel on it.
I'll tell you how I feel. We don't need to do away with it. They bring in more money down there than any other JP court in the county.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Bobby. That is the highest return on a court that we have. And that one court serves basically 1/4 of the population of Hardin County. And we've got, like Silsby, we've got 2 full JPs and full constables at a cost of somewhere over $200,000 a year. Well, say the extra one, $150,000 a year, cost to the county that Lumberton is not costing. I think the clerk is probably the cheapest way out of that.
What about a part-time clerk?
Huh?
What about a part-time clerk?
Well, I mean, that might be a solution. I don't know.
With the extra revenue, Bobby, that they bring in, is that automatically gonna produce more work for that clerk than it is for someone at JP1's office?
Oh, Lord,
If
yes.
you're talking about the revenue,
Yeah. Yeah, I think, let's say that, and I'll just take one in my precinct that takes in $17,000 a year for the county. And the last time I looked, JP5 takes in what, $45,000, $50,000 a year for the county. So, It's in the income section of the budget over in the back. I think you're right to look at everything. We're gonna have to look at everything.
I had, while Bobby's looking for that, one other question. We originally got this from you
Yes, sir.
on this right here. Is that in addition to what Esther gave us a while ago? Or, cause these numbers, 12,700 here and 11,200 here. Is this something in addition to this?
Yes.
I
So-
would have to ask Esther, that's what she proposed, and I do not know if this is
The
just
first
documentation.
sheet we got was a $12,000 increase in professional fees, and what you give,
Professional fees also, that, Carolyn Blackman, that sheet I gave you earlier, that's part of my professional fees, and then what I have to pay fits and shipment on the subdivision, which I'm hoping we're going to reduce that by changing some things on the subdivision committee Monday, to where we put
so
some of the costs off.
total increase is gonna be 23,000, if you're going by this and
I'm
this.
hoping we can drop that down by 10,000, to what we have to pay out.
But we're mandated on this,
Yes,
and we're not on this.
no, we're trying to pass, part of that off to the subdividers, to the developers.
Well, I don't blame you for asking for increases first off, but
No, I didn't.
from what, from,
What I've had to pay for this year, we based it off of what I already had to pay out this year. But I'm hoping if we adopt this thing Monday and we bring it to court, and the court approves it, that it's going to put the bulk of the cost to fits and shipment or to whatever engineer we use on the subdividers.
I guess my question is, the contractor is required to have an engineer out there. Is the county required to have an engineer go out and check their work? I know it's a good, we're required, we're mandated.
It's, it's a rule of the county, we have to have an engineer go out and check these, subdivisions.
That's a recommendation that
That's how we only do it on an as-needed
It's not a
basis.
state law.
okay, because
Well, where is it in
County
our,
does-
where is
county
it in
doesn't
our
have an engineer.
specifications?
Well, the county doesn't have an engineer, an on-staff engineer, so that's what, this was in place when I came here, that we hire someone to go out and
Well, I've-
verify that they've done this.
I understand that. I've been very disappointed in their work, the ones that's going out, because my foreman has found to where they're not actually looking at what they say they're looking at, because we found problems. That's my point on that.
No, I agree with you, that's why we've talked about in our subdivision, committee about changing our engineer to a different engineer that, see, the ones we use now and that the county's always used as far as I know of, also does Jefferson County, and Orange County. So to me, they may be overloaded and we're kind of on the back burner when something happens like that. So we're looking at going with another firm. I kind of would like to go out on bids. I don't know how they ever selected that company. I don't know if it goes without on bids by hourly contract or what. I've tried to look it up and I can't find anything. But I think we should go out on bids and see if we can't get a better hourly rate on whoever we use.
Well, our specifications are for subdivisions says that we will look at the subdivider and his engineer. And I don't remember ever seeing an engineer report from a subdivider come across this desk. I don't ever remember seeing one. And it's in the rules and regulation that
On
they,
your top of trail, that we had their engineer involved with it.
I never saw a report.
They're the ones that when they dropped all their plans and everything, they submit all of that to the
I
court.
never saw a report.
Judge, I'm looking, I don't find it right here real quick. On capital murder trials,
Oh, you don't wanna
We
hear.
need to settle this before we get on the capital murder trial. We need to find out what we're gonna do about this outside engineering.
okay,
That's the trouble, this has been sidestepped so many times and nobody's ever made a decision. And I've got a problem with it. I've got a problem with paying somebody down there in Beaumont to come up here and do a job that we could be doing ourselves.
If each commissioner wanted to take that burden on and check their own area, I could see, you know, if it's a.
Why
bad
haven't we
order.
been called? Why haven't we been
My,
called?
my area is the biggest one, and she has called me.
Right.
I'm just
We
saying-
only had one subdivision and we used you, you came out several times and Carl came out.
One time, I've been called one time on it.
I'm trying to put all these figures together. You currently have a budget of 12,300 for professional fees, and this increase is 12,700, and then you're asking for, or we're mandated for 11,200, so that's gonna be, right at $40,000 for professional fees, it looks like, is
No,
that,
it's about 23,000.
okay? 12.3 and 12.7 is,
That 11,000 was 13 last year, it's in that figure.
it's already included in that?
Yes.
All right.
It dropped down about 2,000
Okay.
this year.
So this is out of what's already in your budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd understood there was some questions about whether we had to do that or not, and that's why I brought that before today. But it's already in that budget.
But as of 6/9/14, professional fees, $15,534.44. And, you got Carol Blackman, you got Snyder, you got Carol Blackman, got Fitz and Shipman, and Carol Blackman, and I just don't understand why we got so many.
Carolyn Blackman is the stormwater, that's mandated. The Snyder Law Firm is where we had to ask questions for the subdivision regulations.
I remember you asking me about that,
Snyder?
you asked me about that,
Yes.
but some of these others, I don't know
Fitz
about.
and Shipman is the ones where they come out and inspect the subdivisions.
For $1,320, $3,810,
But
$510,
that could be like 3 different subdivisions.
$2,690.
If the commissions wanna take that on and not have an engineer, that's up to you guys. Y'all had that in place when I came here, so we just continue with it.
Well, it's been in place a long time because I've found, and I've mentioned it several times in court sessions, from 10 to 12 years ago where Fitz and Shipmans went out. Now, I'm correcting what they said was all right. You know, the taxpayers are paying for what they said were all right. And it just appears to me that whoever they have out there doing it's not actually going through what they say they're going through.
Well, we're not required by law to certify the roads on subdivisions.
Their engineer is,
Yeah.
according to our rules and regulations,
Yeah.
there is,
So
not ours.
on Fish and Shipments, let's cut it out. Is that what you wanna do?
What I wanna do is follow the rules and regulations that we got set aside in that book that I read.
Okay, well,
All
we're,
right, when you start a subdivision, we accept the plat, and we get all through that. All right, with the first walkthrough that she wants us, let the commissioner walk
Okay.
through and look. The commissioner is not not an engineer, but he can tell basically whether something is right or wrong. And then if it don't look quite right, say, hey, this needs to be corrected. All right, somewhere down the line, then an engineer has to come in. But we could do the first.
well, he
walkthrough.
don't have to.
We could still do the first walkthrough.
Well, we can do all the walkthroughs. It's not required, I don't think state law requires that we have an
The
engineer.
rules and regulations we got requires for that developer to have
But that's
his
one-
engineers.
That's the one they pay for.
That's right.
So I'm
That's right.
saying, there's not
That's
one.
what we
So
need to go by.
I'm all
is
cutting
his
it out.
Engineer.
You wanna cut it out?
Yes.
That's
I'll
three
give you
people,
what I did
Judge.
Instead of, the regulations, and y'all can familiarize yourself with those, so you'll know.
Yeah.
That toll pole road is a thorn in my flesh. I tell you, that all Don King just walk up down the road, they walk up down and look. And we send him a check.
How much will that save?
How much will that save, Esther?
It would take
Probably 12
12,000?
on the high side.
Okay, so let's take 12,000 off. Is that all right, Judge?
That sounded good to me.
Okay.
So that's professional fees.
To Fitch and Shipman.
Just the Fitz and Shipman.
That tickled me.
Now, don't get too fast, but he asked about capital murders.
Yeah, was that a bad question, Judge?
Bad question.
Well, now, but I thought we were starting to go on insurance for that.
Well, we got that contract that came in a couple of years ago where we have to furnish the attorneys.
Yeah.
Then this group will come down and take their place. Okay, but we got a capital murder that occurred prior to that. And we're already into it, almost $200,000.
Is that the one that occurred 5 years ago?
Something, I'm not sure when, it's both husband and wife, and it was a child. But,
Okay, so we
What
had
they-
140,000 in there last year for it, and, we spent 200,000.
well, it's running real close to that. I don't know when this bill came in.
Have they ever done try the fellow?
That is.
No, they hadn't tried him, and here's the deal, DNA has gone to the, DPS. Okay, DPS has to send it back, and then if the attorneys request for an independent study, then we're gonna have to send it, and that's where our costs come in on that. And you still got the attorneys tab running. One of them's turned in about 130,000, the other one's turned in about 30-something thousand.
That is the very reason, another good reason we can't keep cutting that contingency, because we set that budget at 200,000 for capital murder, and it runs 300,000, we have to take it out of contingency, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason we can't keep coming down on that contingency.
I thought that we've got this deal where at some point,
Or cut some of it out.
it'll cut some of it out.
But you're still gonna be responsible for all the, witnesses that you gotta bring in
Yeah.
and all.
Yeah.
And that DNA and stuff, so you're gonna have expenses.
Whatever we do, we can't cut that contingency anymore, whatever we do.
What we are working
I'm
on,
fine with that, Bobby. We just gotta find cuts in the budget.
All right, if I take 50,000, you said something a while ago about this commissioner's court, that's us, ain't it, that 300,000?
Yeah.
All right, if I cut 50,000 out of my road material, if I cut 50,000, all right,
That's 50,000 is in that
Okay.
350,000.
Andrew, you got county park salaries cut $18,897,
Yes, sir.
and I come up with 23,000.
I was just looking at the budget from last year
Well, that's what I'm
and
looking
the
at,
salaries,
that's what I'm looking
okay,
at.
so it increased.
So there's 23,170, and then we've got, 20,000 in there that I'm not gonna spend. That's 43,000, that's $93,000 just out of my little old area that I'm.
Okay, so we can add 43,000 to the 50.
Right,
Okay.
so, see, that's 93,000 that just in my little old pot that I'm giving up.
Bobby, keep on talking.
Yeah, but I mean, I just can't understand
Where-
why, I can't
under
understand why,
Veterans
if
Park-
I can do that.
Where are you getting the 23? Cause I'm looking at
All right, now,
18.5.
look at you, you looking at what?
18.5 on the 2014 adopted budget.
Well, look down there, your,
Benefits.
Okay, never mind. Judge, just enlighten me.
yeah,
I got it.
you find it.
So you're not opening that parking stuff up
No,
anymore.
I'm
are you?
not opening closing now, Alvin
With the
may,
benefits.
that may be what he
We may
wants
not
to
be
do, but
paying
he's
those
gonna have
benefits
that
if we're not
problem.
using those salaries.
He'll have to confront that problem down the line.
It's still budgeted for those
Mr.
benefits.
Bell, something I wanna ask you about too, you know, we have that lot coming up over on Park that we're gonna, put out for bid. I looked up the appraisal values in those areas, that lot's probably gonna bring about 20,000. I don't know if, Jackie's not in here, I know they're getting the paperwork together to bid that out. So that would be income there, and something else that I have, do y'all remember, and maybe Angela knows, when Becky and y'all set aside $15,000 for us, to share on, contingency to share on, like if we went over in professional fees or something like that. But since then, she's hired extra help, you remember she was asking for extra help, and I don't see that if I'm not gonna have fits and, to be able to fits and shipment, I'm not gonna need it, so is that 15,000 still?
Where is
set
that 15,000 in the budget?
aside? It was set aside in the contingency fund to fund, any extra help that, Rebecca and I needed.
My knowledge, it wasn't broken out.
Okay, but is it actually the funds in there, or is it just something that we estimated that we might need? Is it a budgeted item
We decided we would take it out of contingency.
if we needed it?
If we needed it.
But what I'm saying is, then it's not a budgeted item.
No.
Yeah, okay, so,
But if we, I would probably think on that lot, $15,000 to $20,000, is that gonna be? that's
well,
not enough?
that's a bird in the bush,
Yeah. Now, we
but
got
I
people
don't think,
waiting to bid on
I
it.
don't think we can include it in the budget until we sell it, huh?
Probably.
It'd just be, I mean, it'd be a plus if it comes in,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of
Yeah.
interest in it, that people are
Yeah.
waiting for it to
Yeah.
come out. So.
And that'll just help this budget.
What
not that
about,
accurate.
I don't remember if I got an answer on this or not, I might have from the future judge. What about the 80,000 rebate check from insurance, is that gonna include?
That was included in the contingency when we were figuring it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that brought that contingency up.
Let's go back to this park. You don't show the $1,800 that I'll get from the soccer club added in, so is that in your figures?
It's 18 or 16?
18,
Okay, well, I saw it, it's in the income. I saw it in the budget in
Last
income.
year, I required to furnish 18.
Yeah, okay, well, I saw it, it's in there. It's in there.
It's in your revenue side.
So
It's on the revenue
I
side.
just noticed it wasn't here, you know. it didn't have-
Collected,
Yeah,
it's being collected,
Okay.
it's just probably,
I didn't know how, whether you had it in the bottom figure or not.
I got one other thing and then I'll be through, Judge, and y'all
Okay.
we can go to somebody else. On these, increases we had last year, I had the, auditor to give me an increase and I'm not for laying anybody off. And I'm not even gonna go there, but there's one, area that I would suggest cutting, and that's Mr. Denos's raise of $3,700.
Here's, let me talk about that now. I don't have a court reporter. So when we have an appeal come up, somebody has to do that. In the past, I've tried to get, a court reporter to do it. The last one cost us $1,700 to do one case. He's doing those deals for me now, he just did two, so you're talking about $3,400 he saved us right there. Now, if that responsibility was taken away from him, I don't know where I would put it, and who can do it. And the reason I say that, it's gonna take a little different talent to go in there and sit there and listen to that thing, type it up and all this kind of stuff, because it's gotta be right. But, you know, the courts,
You got 3% of that 3,700 was the raise that everybody got.
but, it's up to court, whatever.
Well, that's just a suggestion on my part. I don't know what he does. You're the department head. It might be justified.
He does, a lot of work for the judge on this, cause I know like if it's a, 4-hour trial, then cause I try to do it and I can't do it. If it's a 4-hour trial, it takes 16 hours to transcribe it by listening, because you can't hear it that way. So I know he spends quite a bit of time on that, and then a lot of computer work throughout the county, different, offices in the county, but I just wanted to point out that 3% of that money was the average rate of the raise that everyone got, so it wouldn't be the $3,700.
That's the difference, 3,700. He got a 3%. I had her figured up the difference. He got 3,700 total over the year, the whole year, above the 3%. Anyway, that was a total of 64,600 that I suggested, and of course, all of it wasn't agreed on, but I'm willing to hear anybody else, whatever suggestions y'all have.
Well, I think that we need to decide too, on departments, what's needed travel. Some of the travel expenses are up there, some of them's $8,500. And I think everybody needs to only do what their continuing education allows them to do. And if assistants don't have to go, then we don't send assistants. And, I think we ought to look at, maybe getting, I don't know if any of the department heads turned in their budget request for this year. I think we ought to look at it. And then if we need to, call them in one by one, make them justify why they got a $8,500, travel expense. You could probably save, you know, you might gather $10,000 just from the different departments and travel expense. You know, good years, if you can send everybody to a conference, that's good, but it's not good years. And then when it comes to cell phone bills, sheriff's office pays $17,500 a year on stipends on cell phones. I think you need to decide who's essential personnel. Does every deputy need a stipend? Are we requiring every deputy, or, I don't know, I just know, looking at the budget, $17,500 spent on cell phone bills, when, you know, I would think your sheriff, your chief deputy, and your, supervisors, you know, but then how far down the supervisor chain do you go?
To sergeant.
Well, but what I'm saying, do they have to have a cell phone stipend? I mean, what happened to radios? We spend a lot of money in technology to be able to talk via radio. They're making their rounds through here anyway to stop and talk to whoever they need to. And again, it's just throwing things out there. You know, if the county attorney can go and hire, you know, that position we created last year, if she can do that with outside help, and we just budget a sole $50,000 and get rid of the burdens and everything that come with that, we might save $30,000. If you take the district attorney investigator we added, there may be a way around that, where you hire somebody on an as-needed basis and just give them $40,000. or whatever, and then if they wanna hire one of these constables to go out and do an investigation, you know, you could probably come up with another 150,000 right there if you just, those things that I've
What
thrown out
number
there.
are you at right now?
Right now, with a 3% raise, I'm at 323, and with a 2% raise at 237.
Chris, to answer your question, some of the offices, JP in particular, have jumped theirs considerably because you got 2 JPs coming in. So we got more additional training coming up.
Right, but like the county attorney, she's got $8,500.
For travel.
Yeah. To me, when you got this, I've had more people in my office from these appraisals, these evaluations this year than the last 3 years combined. And when you have business owners taking an increase of $25,000 a year, they're gonna have to write out their checkbook. One company went up from 600,000 to an appraisal of 2.1 million. I think we can ask our department heads to decrease their travel when our business owners are writing checks to cover the differences in appraisals. I would be willing to forego my raise. Don't give me a raise. And whatever that is, you can add that to the budget.
Judge, you can answer this one here. I see last year we went from 30,000 to 88,000 on mental exams and indigent funerals. Have we spent that? Angela, do you know in the budget actually what we spent on that line item? That is, line item, let's see, where was it? Oh, that's, 18,514,112.
I know the mentals have increased.
Yeah.
I don't know about the funeral situation.
I don't remember any indigent funerals in this county lately.
Well, we can get them through here.
Well, the thing is, I think our goal is, we have to make major corrections this year because of the deficits we've been running. There can be nothing deemed untouchable to get to where we need to be.
Well, the reality of the situation is when you lose $2 million in taxes on oil and gas, and then another $240-something thousand this year, I mean, you've got to make adjustments.
And this right here, what you give us is a good example. Like Mr. Pelt said, if we lost $2 million in revenue, and you're talking about, Chris, you're talking about the deficits going up, well, it's the reasons these deficits going up are these mandates that are coming through that the judge is talking, that's why the deficit's always higher than the revenue.
Right, but people
We're
can't-
losing revenue.
Well, and I understand that, but people cannot explain that to the business community as we're adding appraisal evaluations and tax rate
A business
increases.
owner is gonna get upset about that, but they, above anybody else, should understand that if we're not getting more tax base and our deficit's going up, we're gonna have to do one of two things. We're gonna have to cut services, or we're gonna have to increase the tax rate significantly.
Right, but the problem is, nobody can explain that to the people that are out there.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm not lost on how you get revenue. I mean, I know you gotta
Yeah.
cut it or raise the tax rate. I'm very aware of that.
on this cell phone business, we don't need to do too much rocking of the boat of that. I've got 5 employees. One of them's got a county phone. The other 4 use their cell phone while they're on duty. They have not asked for any reimbursement. They don't expect any. And that's the only way I can communicate it with this doggone radio system we got that we don't understand.
Mine are required not to use their cell phone.
What I'm saying is, we need to be careful on that.
No, I'm with you, but here's my goal. My only goal is to cut out deficits, tighten up where we can, because if you're gonna have to raise the tax rate increase, it has to be fair across the board. Every department has to be looked at. Every department has to be cut if it can be cut. No exceptions, including my department. If you can ask Road and Bridge to take a $700,000 cut over the period of timeframe that Ken's talked about, if I'm willing to forego my raise, if I'm willing to tighten up everywhere that I can within my budget, then I think every department can. I think those positions that we create, while we are good intended, I don't see how we can pay for them. Am I willing this year to have a budget deficit based on that? No, I'm not, because I'm not willing to vote for a 2-cent increase and talk to the business owner that was in my office 2 days ago that's paying the increase in evaluations this year. I'm not ready to justify to him a 2-cent increase when we have not cut additional expenses that we can. When I tell, it's no exaggeration when I tell you I've been approached by more people this year than the last 3 years combined. And I'm gonna tell you, if this court don't make the tough choices, the people will elect a court that will make the tough choices. And that's what it's gonna come down to.
But it's not our fault if the appraisal district don't follow the right guidelines.
Well, no.
But we get the blame for it.
We do get the blame for it, and the appraisal district has sent about 10 people to my office.
We can't take care of the world.
No, but we can take care of this budget.
We're talking about,
As of May.
43,000.
Okay, as of May, we had 43,000.
so we.
And my only goal is there's nothing untouchable in the budget.
Okay, so how much,
Four
Judge?
years ago,
20,
Okay,
4 years ago, Ken and I went to every department in this courthouse to ask them, what can you cut? Can you do this? Can you do that? Well, everybody was receptive except 2 departments in this courthouse. No, I ain't cutting nothing out. No, we ain't cutting nothing out.
Judge has found $20,000. So I'm gonna
Out of
take-
his budget?
Well, it's out of, one of the items, so that's 217,000 on a 2% raise.
Was that out of mine?
See why y'all was talking.
Clarify.
is that a Bobby White?
300, that's 303,000 now. Okay, Judge, down here under, we went in, I see 12, courthouse security was 15,000, then 17,000, then we jumped it last year to 29,000. Was that,
God, I don't remember, Ken.
we jumped it, $12,000 for some reason there last year.
Courthouse security.
I don't,
I mean, I don't know why we jumped it, but I mean, we're not,
Was it anticipation of the capital murder case?
No,
I don't think so.
because of all that happened in Jefferson County, and some of the judges got a little upset.
I think there was something, but I'm just wondering if we can bring that back to, say, 17,000.
yeah.
Okay, so that'll be bringing that back to $17,000.
Okay, and that's coming, you know what line item that's coming out?
That's, 15,500, that's 18,514, 146.
Okay, so that's not.
So we're taking off 12,000.
Technology fund or the, okay. And you have a figure of what it is this year?
Okay, so
Are
that's,
you looking at a figure for this year, what we had in, let's say, May or June?
I'm not looking at what we have for this year, I'm looking at what we had for last year.
We're trying to make up a million because of the
And that
2%, we're looking at
Huh?
2%.
that goes into courthouse security, a transfer into courthouse security, and where that is going out for that bailiff up there, in Stover's office.
Oh, okay, so that,
That's just his.
that can't be cut then. Okay, take it back. Okay.
I need to take a break, but I don't wanna leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all for a break.
Couple of recess.
Yeah, let's take about a 10-minute recess.